What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go battling content. Today's video, we're taking a look at a team here in the Sunshine Cup that I will believe will be incredibly strong here over the course of the meta. We have in the lead, we're going to be running this Dunsparce. Now, Dunsparce, I feel like, is going to be the best way to deal with flyers, and the most common place for those flyers are probably going to be in the lead. So you're going to catch a lot of good leads with this Dunsparce, I feel, and I wanted to back up the Dunsparce with a Water Pulse Gastrodon, which has proved to be incredibly effective into the meta, and if people aren't expecting it, they better start, because it has taken a lot of teams by surprise here. And as our safe swap, we're going back to the well with our Shadow Swagsire running the Aqua Tail Stone Edge. I feel like the Mud Boys in general are very have a very good diverse water ground coverage in general. It's going to be really strong, and as well as rock for that coverage against things like other flyers, right? So we have a lot of play into the entire meta with this team, and you'd be looking at this and saying, you know what? Yeah, it's probably going to lose to something like Superior in the lead, but since most of the grasses are going to be like Abomasnow and Jumpluff, I feel like that's probably going to hit more often than not. So we'll see how the meta shakes out, but right here for these teams here, I played these games with some members of my Discord since I am going to be out of the country for the time that this cup is going to be in season. So we have a Jumpluff on the lead, and we're going to be able to catch this nicely with the Jumpluff. The opponent is going to swap in their own Dunsparce, trying to catch that Rock Slide. But again, I'm really focused on my timing here. I'm always going to throw on 5 or go for 1 and then the move here. So we're going to be able to catch, or try to catch the energy on this Gastrodon. Opponent would have ended up having to go for Drill Run anyway, but I still want to put Gastrodon out on the field here because it's going to keep it away from the Jumpluff. And as long as I can keep Gastrodon somewhat low, even if the opponent wants to farm all the way down here, because really, Jumpluff does not have any thing to fear from a Gastrodon, right? You would basically get its entire moveset's walled except for Body Slam, and Body Slam really isn't going to do a whole lot to a Jumpluff, that especially not even a Shadow Jumpluff. So we're going to go for a Body Slam here, trying to do a little bit of chip damage. Dunsparce still has quite a bit of energy, and I have a Quagsire in the back that has Stone Edge, and at this point, the Jumpluff is absolutely in range of the Stone Edge. So at this point, I'm assuming the opponent's probably going to try to farm all the way down, as that's kind of what they're doing here. So gonna let it go. Dunsparce is going to come in here, go for this Rock Slide. The opponent almost tries to catch on me again. Thought they were going to try to catch anyway. So they're going to go for the Energy Ball. With all that energy, makes a lot of sense. Energy Ball. Get it? Ha! Man, I'm good. Anyway, going for the Rock Slide here, trying to take this Jumpluff low. The opponent is critically low now on this Jumpluff, and I think the hardest answer to my Quagsire is probably in front of me. So I'm going to go ahead and shield up here. The opponent has a Diggersby in the back, and that's going to be fine here because Quagsire is looking super solid with that Aqua Tail. Yeah, this is even though we're down a shield here, we can always live one Scorching Sands, and so I'm just going to go to send out a flurry of Aqua Tails. Now, because the opponent did leave that Jumpluff in the back with a little bit of HP, I have to be wary of it at some point catching, so I'm not shielding here. I'm expecting to throw the Scorching Sands. The opponent actually tries to bait me here, which, I mean, does make some sense to a degree, but I do know that I live the Scorching Sands, and so at this point, I'm kind of like maybe saving my shield here for the Dunsparce, because if I can get just one Aqua Tail off on this Diggersby, I'll be fine here. But the opponent going for another Fire Punch, and I'm wondering if they're even running Scorching Sands. I'm expecting them to make this catch, and they do. Very nice attempt by my opponent to wait that one turn. You can see the Diggersby sort of pause there. But now that we've got the Aqua Tail loaded on the Quagsire, all we have to do is get the Dunsparce to land a Drill Run. And at this point, it's not going to matter too much what they do, because even if the game decides to give me the one turn Go Battle lag on Bring In, I still have a shield, and I should easily be able to get this Aqua Tail off. So, well played to this trainer, good game. Again, taking advantage of the fact that I'm expecting a lot of, Flyer double ground, Flyer double mud rollout teams, so getting into the next game, we catch a really great lead here with Talonflame, and I'm just saying, man, they're gonna be out there. Now, my opponent safe switches into the spiciest thing I've seen today. That's gonna be a Bibarel, King Bibarel here, and I'm gonna be able to bring in my Gastrodon. I should be able to live one move here because they did not get up to enough for a Hyper Beam, which would be incredibly painful. They go for the Hyper Fang instead. It's not quite as much as the Hyper Beam would have done, but we get a farm down here, and the opponent has a choice to make. Do they come in with their third, or do they come in with Talonflame and end up eating a Water Pulse? The opponent does come in with a Credilli here. Another pick that I really like in this meta, if you don't want to run Dunsparce, perhaps Credilli could be your way to go here, or even just, like a team like this trainer is using Talonflame. Credilli seems like a really solid solid thing to have here, but I'm going to come in now with my Dunsparce and absorb the energy from this Cordilli. I also know that my Quagsire is going to have a great time against the Talonflame, so just in case, I'm going to make sure that I save my shields for the Quagsire, because with how low this Cordilli is, this could be like a shield and farm down sort of situation here. So we're going to be able to go for a Rock Slide. I threw the Rock Slide here because just in case they tried to catch on the Talonflame, if they had tried to catch a Drill Run, that would have been kind of not great for me. So opponent's going to have their Talonflame come in now, and we, even with the Mud Shots doing a little bit less energy generation now after this season's update, these Mud Shots are going to pace just fine to be able to hit up these Aqua Tails, and I'm going to go for a couple of baits here. Now, I think Aqua Tail, I'm not sure exactly how much this does because I haven't really played this out too much. The opponent going for the Hail Mary Brave Bird because I would survive the fly just barely. But either way, I think like I pace so well to these moves that no matter what, I'm always shielding here. But because we can make it to the Stone Edge, we're going to do it anyway, and we're going to be able to take this Talonflame out of the sky here. Boom! And take that game. Well played. Getting into the next game, we got a Shadow Quagsire on the lead. This is not what I need to see here on the lead. So Quagsire could be pretty solid on the lead here. I'm really not comfortable with this lead, but the opponent saves a move on their Quagsire and swaps into a Charm Wigglytuff. And at this point, it is starting to dawn on me. Please, I don't know how many Charmers are in this meta, but boy, is this gonna suck, because like a ground type in the lead against a Charmer is like, it's almost a perfect, you know, synergy here, especially in this meta. Now, opponent's gonna come back in with their Shadow Quagsire, and I think about baiting with the Body Slam, but now they're just gonna go ahead and throw the energy here. They're forced to throw Aqua Tails, but they have Mud Bomb instead. And I'm gonna go for this Water Pulse. The opponent has 2 moves, so I'm forced to shield up in order to protect this energy. And then they're gonna go for another Mud Bomb. And I'm gonna go for the Water Pulse here. Heavier hitting move. I don't really know if I need to bait here. Would have been, in hindsight, a better idea to do so. And then I'm gonna go for this Body Slam because I don't think I'm making it to another Water Pulse. So I'm gonna go ahead and just fire off Body Slam. In hindsight, you know, maybe I could have, but now they come in with a Charm Whimsicott. Yeah, I probably should have come in with Quagsire right away, but I didn't realize that it was on Charm until it was too late. Excuse me, I thought that they maybe would have been on Fairy Wind, which would have been the more sensible thing in my opinion, but in a meta where there's going to be so many Talonflame and Clodsire most likely present, I really think that this trainer was probably just trying to troll me more so than they were trying to actually come at me with a good team. But you know what? It's Go Battle League. You know, it doesn't matter. People are gonna do it anyway. So the opponent now comes in with their Quagsire, and unfortunately, I do get caught with my pants down here. They're gonna go for the Mud Bomb and neutralize all the energy that I had. Dunsparce is not gonna be able to farm down this Quagsire, which I really needed it to be able to farm down and have 2 moves. But I'm pretty sure that Whimsicott had a move anyway. So good game to this trainer. Shame on them for running degen, but I mean they played it as well as they could have. So well done. Getting to the next game, we see another Talonflame on the lead. Just what I'm telling you. Like, if in my opinion, first couple of days of this meta, you're going to see a lot of flyer double ground teams. And this trainer brings in the spice, a Flygon. Now, I am absolutely on board with this. I think that Flygon is going to be an amazing thing in this meta. It might take a little bit for people to let it catch on if it doesn't catch on right away. But Flygon, even with Stone Edge, if you ask me, is just really good. Now, I don't know if it needs Dragon Claw, but it definitely helps because it's some nice chip damage. And again, it's like, do you really do you play the Mud Shot still, even with the worst pacing? But opponent not respecting. Boom! No respect, and they quit. Good game. No respect for the Water Pulse, and we see a Flygon on the lead this time. I'm going to swap immediately into my Quagsire, and I'm noticing all of my opponents here are running Dragon Tail Flygon so far. So that might be something that'll be worth keeping an eye on in this meta. Unfortunately, most of the fairies probably get kind of shredded by things like Talonflame. So, like, Talonflame makes sense. The opponent hits me right back, though, in this game. Boom! With an Acrobatics. And at this point, like, I got the shield that I need. I got the opponent low. The Jumpluff is on the field, and now is about to be out of the game. And I'm hoping that this was their hardest answer to my Gastrodon. So I'm okay with going down with this. The opponent going to come back in with that Flygon, and I'm going to try to fire off a Drill Run here and bail back into my Gastrodon with that shield advantage. Because they shielded, I'm okay also shielding here. And I'm really hoping you have another flyer in the back, like Talonflame. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, but the opponent does not. They also get the attack drop with the with the Scorching Sands here. So unfortunately, even though I have a good matchup into the Lickitung here with that attack drop, this is probably not going to be very good. Opponent going for a charge move here. I'm not going to shield it up. I need to try and win this game with Dunsparce, at least the way that I feel. They even hit me with the Shadow Ball, and I'm thinking, is there a chance that I might be able to catch another Shadow Ball? But really, realistically, they could just go for the Body Slam here, and this is Charge Attack priority, so now I know it's a Body Slam. I need to get back into this Dunsparce, and I really, really wish my Gastrodon had a little bit more HP left. The opponent is going to go for a charge move here. I was hoping that they might try and swap back into that Flygon so I could hit it with a Drill Run, but the opponent playing very well in this game, not swapping out, realizing that Lickitung is pretty much their win condition, and I'm going to go for this Drill Run, but unfortunately now, because I took that Body Slam, the opponent's Dragon Tails are going to be able to just farm me down here. I'm going to go for the Drill Run, and I'm not going to be able to make it to another, and that's going to be, unfortunately, the end for us here, but that's okay. This team really has only gotten beat when it's hard countered, and I mean, that's kind of pretty hard counter to me, but next game up, we got a Dunsparce mirror lead here. Oh, I remember this battle. Yep, so you're going to go into the Quagsire here. The opponent is going to stay in for just a little bit, and I'm going to throw my Aqua Tail. In hindsight, probably wasn't the right thing to do, but I figured I'm going to get some chip damage against this Dunsparce for later. Maybe my Dunsparce can do something. And now the opponent comes in with a Jumpluff. It's not a Shadow Jumpluff either. So now this is where I'm having trouble, because if this Jumpluff, hoping they don't shield, but they shield this up, and I can't just pace straight to Stone Edges, right? Like, this is never a safe bait for me, because there's always a chance that they don't shield up this move, and then I'm really cooked. So at this point, we have a charge attack priority tie. I feel like I'm probably not pacing to that third Stone Edge before they get to an energy ball here. So I am going to let this go and try to win this game with shield advantage, but in doing so, I am also making one error. Now, this is also, of course, not knowing that I'm not going to be able to make a Stone Edge before they get to another energy ball. I'm not familiar with the energy ball counts, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know if it's, I think it's 7-6. And I don't know what it is after that. If it was 6 to the next one, I don't know if I was going to make it. But opponent makes a game-winning call here. Spoiler alert. They come back in with the Dunsparce here and save the Jumpluff. So they are making a very skilled team read here that I have a double ground team in the back, and their Jumpluff has some play later on in the game. So at this point, all I'm trying to do is I am going to go for just as much chip damage here as I can, but I'm not throwing, because I want my, I don't want to give them any farm if I take out the Dunsparce, but because they throw here, it's going to allow my Dunsparce to farm down, and I'm really hoping that whatever they have in the back is not maybe another flyer, but nope, they come in with a Gastrodon, and at this point, I immediately realized that it's over. I was hoping that maybe they had a Talonflame in the back, and that was my only real win condition, was just hoping that they had that positive matchup for me in the back, but the team, for them, worked out real well. Good game. Now back to the positive leads. Getting Abomasnow in the lead in this next game. Opponent is staying in. They are probably core broken by Dunsparce, which is something that I would really heavily advise against doing in this meta. Now they built it to 6, so this can only ever be an Icy Wind. But it was a Weather Ball. The opponent gonna now come in with their own Dunsparce, and I can immediately counter swap in my Gastrodon to go into just we're resisting this damage, right? Now you could also make a case for coming in with Quagsire here and trying to make sure you have a Stone Edge just about ready to go when the matchup's over. But I wasn't really confident that I was going to be able to take multiple drill runs in order to try and make that happen. So instead, what I want to do here is I want to just hit with a Water Pulse and farm all the way down, and then try and get these Body Slams, but I realize the opponent's at 2 moves now, so unfortunately for me, I am forced to throw my Body Slam, but this also makes it so that the opponent's not going to get too much energy out of my Gastrodon by farming it down. So they're going to be at about another Weather Ball and maybe a couple more Powder Snows after this farm down, but easily something that Dunsparce can handle, and we're going to go ahead and shield up because this could be an Energy Ball. I'm going to respect it, and the opponent just goes for another Weather Ball. So we're totally fine here. Going to go for what could have been a farm down, but the opponent goes for their next Weather Ball, and I'm just going to let this one go. I'm like, even if they have something like Talonflame, and that was the read that I was making, right, was Talonflame in the back because they were critically weak to the Dunsparce. I'm going to go for this Rock Slide. I'm going to go for another Rock Slide, and I'm 2 away from my next Rock Slide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for one more rollout. I'm going to switch, and then I'm going to save it so that my Dunsparce is only 1 more rollout. With 3 turns for this rollout, I should always be able to go for 1 rollout and throw the Rock Slide before my opponent can ever go for 1 full Incinerate. So I also try to go for, a Stone Edge here. I forgot that there's still an Abomasnow on the opponent's side. And I throw the Stone Edge immediately like a fool because I thought that I was about to just win the game. So now I've just made this considerably more complicated for myself. And I'm going to go for an Aqua Tail here, or a Stone Edge, trying to get to that Stone Edge the opponent throws. But again, I left myself with one more rollout to the Rock Slide. So I should be able to just go for the Rock Slide and take them out. Now, if I got the one-turn bring-in lag, I think the Incinerate would have hit me, and it was a risky play to make. But this is all, you know, obviously assuming the game works. But well played to this opponent. Good game. Getting into the next game, we got a really seriously nice lead here with Talonflame on the lead. The opponent swapping immediately into their Quagsire. And I'm going to go for a Drill Run here as soon as I get it. Save myself. Do a little bit of chip damage because I don't really have a hard answer to the Quagsire. But I'm going to come in with my Gastrodon because it forces them to go for the less heavier hitting Aqua Tail and not Stone Edge. Now, I could have come in with my own Quagsire here, but they have a really huge energy lead. So I felt like the fast move pressure from my Gastrodon was going to be a little bit more impactful. Plus, we can farm down and shield once and get that shield back against the Talonflame because we have Water Pulse if that is something that the opponent's expecting. Now, so we're going to get this farm down here. We're going to go for one Incinerate, and then I'm going to throw a Body Slam because I want to see if I can't get my opponent to shield. And if I go for Body Slam here, it may make them think that I'm not running Water Pulse. So in the event that they don't shield, we can go for the Water Pulse anyway and try to get this shield. Now, had we just went for the Water Pulse, they wouldn't have shielded, but we're taking out the Talonflame here, and the opponent has a Diggersby in the back. So this is very reminiscent of an earlier game where we ended up having Quagsire down to shield, but we just need to land this Aqua Tail here. Now, I wanted to go for the Aqua Tail, but the game said, you know what? You get to lag a turn. So thanks again, Niantic, for just having issues with your game that you never want to bother to fix. So we have back-to-back Aqua Tails here. The opponent just threw their Scorching Sands. I think they may have been one over, though, when they threw. So I have to be careful of the energy on this thing. They are going to go for some more quick attack damage. And after I get all their shields, all I really need to do here is just make sure I save a shield for the Quagsire to just get to an Aqua Tail later in the game. I could have definitely made a case for going up to the Aqua Tail and then swapping out. However, I didn't want to take the chance of having to shield a Fire Punch, which felt very likely to happen at that point in time. So at this point, I'm just coming in with my Dunsparce, doing as much chip damage as I can and saving the shield. The opponent is going to get pressured by these Drill Runs, even though they're debuffed, because they are at some point going to have to throw, and they do here. So thankfully, we're going to just no-shield this and just, you know, take the energy. The opponent goes for that Scorching Sands, and I'm immediately swapping back into my Quagsire. After throwing the expensive Scorching Sands, if this is another Scorching Sands, I know that they will never be able to get to another move here before I do, but we're going to be able to get to the Aqua Tail despite the Fire Punch bait, and that's going to be a good game here. Well played to the opponent. Getting into the next game, we got Tropius on the lead here, and the opponent is running the Razor Leaf variant of the Tropius, and they're going to try to catch a move here. Very nicely timed as well, because it's always 9 to that first move. We know that we can just keep going on energy until they get to that point. And the opponent here throws a Stone Edge, trying to bait as though I was going to shield. Now, unfortunately for them, I know that I live the Earthquake, so it's always better to just go straight Earthquake in this matchup. You never really want to bait until you're threatening to knock out with that second move. I know I can still just live the Earthquake here. Now, the opponent had gone for 2 Earthquakes. I think they would have been able to actually get a shield off me, but we're just going to go for a Body Slam against the Tropius. A little bit of chip damage before we get absolutely obliterated by these Razor Leafs here. So Body Slam is going to do a little bit, and every little bit helps because it's going to put it closer down to being in range. Now, opponent makes an immediate swap. I think into their it's a Diggersby here. So they're going to catch the Rock Slide, but I can just come straight in with my Quagsire, and this is pretty much just going to be a hard counter game here, unfortunately, for this opponent, as we just go for Aqua Tail after Aqua Tail here. Now, again, I do expect them to, at some point, try to make a swap to catch one of these Aqua Tails here, as we have 2 shields up, so I never have to shield this again, just like last time. The opponent going for the Fire Punch. I don't know why I'm being baited here so much, but thankfully we're calling these baits. There's no way that I'm going to shield that. I even have to consider not shielding the next move as well, but I think at this point, it's pretty safe to say that the shields are going to be needed here because the opponent is not going to do a whole ton with the charge moves on their Tropius. Now, Unfortunately, the opponent does make a very nice catch here, which prevents me from being able to hit them with an Aqua Tail, but we are going to come straight in with this Dunsparce. They throw the Leaf Blade. I can overfarm by a little bit more because they basically just threw that move as soon as they had gotten to it or close to it. I was counting roughly 9 or 10 Razor Leafs there, so we're going to be able to get the Rock Slide off, go for a Droll Run to put pressure on the Chungus Rabbit here, and then basically we just need to save the shield remaining that we have for the Quagsire to get to that Aqua Tail for the game-winning move. I'm just going to go for the Droll Run here. We're going to force the opponent to throw here, going for the good timing because that's actually going to put more pressure on them to want to throw before I get to a move. If I had just thrown that Droll Run there, they would have been able to overfarm even more considering how much more energy I would have needed to get to a move. So it's always better for me in this case to just prioritize, timing and overfarming because it puts more pressure on the opponent to throw. And they take the Aqua Tail and down goes Chungus. Good game. Getting into the next game with Shadow Flygon on the lead, something I've been pretty scared of, not gonna lie. We're gonna go into the Quagsire here. An opponent counter swaps an Turtonator. Yeah, dude, Turtonator is certainly saucy. Is he even allowed? I don't even know. It has to be, right? It's a fire type. What is in this meta, dude? It's fire, right? It's fire types. Fire types are allowed. Oh! But that was unfortunately not something that they, safely bring in. And now, unfortunately for this opponent, the farm that I got off of that Quagsire is going to feed many, many hungry families here. As we're just going to be able to go for 3 back-to-back-to-back Aqua Tails to 4 shields or get rid of this Flygon. So I'm not sure what they have in the back. I cannot imagine that they don't have an answer to Quagsire, and if they don't, well, that's why Quagsire is just going to be so dang strong in this cup. They are going to be able to farm us down, but they're already pretty low. Gastrodon can come in, and I'm thinking about shielding this because it is a Shadow Flygon. Like, this thing's going to hit me pretty hard. So I am going to go ahead and shield it. It is just a Dragon Claw, though, and then the opponent comes in with a Talonflame, and that's why they didn't have the answer to the Quagsire. They literally didn't have one. They literally didn't have one, which works out for us. The Water Pulse gonna be enough here to get almost a knockout, and that's gonna leave them within the rollout range. They go for the Brave Bird for that heavy hitting damage, but Flygon is unfortunately down to the point where just one Mud Slap would probably knock it out. So they're gonna be forced to go for a charge move here. Dragon Claw not gonna be enough to knock out, and we can just get the fast move down with the Gastrodon. Good game to this opponent. Well played. Gotta respect the Swagsire. Getting into the final game against a Shadow Credilli here. This thing is terrible for my backline, so I'm hoping that just, based on typical team rating and things, that I will only have to deal with one grass type, and then hopefully afterwards I will be free. So, Grass Knot going to do more damage than the Rock Slide. Opponent deciding to go for that heavier hitting move off the bat here, which is a good call. I'm going to be going for this Drill Run. I have 2 Drill Runs here. I just need to do as much damage as I can to this Credilli and get it off the board, so that hopefully my backline has some play. I'm expecting them to maybe have a Talonflame, or some other, I don't even know what Credilli really loses to here. What really beats Credilli? Honestly, Credilli is super solid in this cup. It's like Dunsparce. It's just really good. So I shield up thinking that I'm going to have a good time here against this backline. The opponent comes in with a Shadow Kanto Marowak, and my jealousy is incredible as I come in with my Gastrodon, and the opponent has an Abomasnow. Why are you running APA to this thing? But I do find out after the fact that Talonflame actually loses all evens against Credilli. So the team actually does make sense. If you put Credilli out on the lead, it's going to be able to do a lot to almost everything in this meta. And opponent's just saving 2 shields for their whack. And I'm like, I have to save the shield for Quagsire and hope that I can get some done here. I need to just land 1 Aqua Tail against that, against the opponent's Kanto whack, but I'm not going to be able to get the shields here until it's a little bit too late. The opponent would have to shield this, but they have a lot of energy now on the Kanto Marowak, and if I can get to 2 Aqua Tails, I'm in good shape here. So we're going to let the first one go. It's only ever going to be a Bone Club. They won't throw Rock Slide here, so Bone Club does a ton, though, and I'm not going to be able to get to another move here because I realize it's like 4-3-3 or something to Bone Clubs, and I'm only now getting to the next Aqua Tail. I have to go for 4 more, so if they are on a 4 cycle, I will be okay, but I don't think that that's the case. The opponent just going to throw the Bone Club right into their at it already. Quagsire, unfortunately, not going to be able to do it. I'm sure there was a way for me to win that game somewhere, but I was never going to read that they were going to have the Abomasnow in the back. So, very good game, some fun teams here. There's a lot of good potential in this cup. I feel like the watered grounds have a lot of capability to do well, and Dunsparce having just almost perfect coverage into everything at some point or another is incredibly strong, and unless Superior and things like that start to really take this meta over, which I don't really see being the case with Jumpluff, Abomasnow, and Talonflame being on so many teams, I think that Superior is going to struggle to find footing, and I think that the grass or the ground waters are going to be really solid. So let me know in the comments what team you've been running in the Sunshine Cup. Unfortunately, this is probably going to be the last video on the Sunshine Cup I do because I'm out of the country for the next few days. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.